if the first question is, if you could briefly, introduce yourself, the company that you work for, and what sort of work you guys do.
Hi, I'm Hugh Gilmour. I'm head of development for Telis Energy UK. So we are a UK-based renewable energy developer, really focused on large-scale renewables, predominantly solar and battery. And we sit as part of the bigger Telis Energy group, who are in France, Italy, and Germany, pure play energy developer. And we are solely backed by the Carlyle Group, one of the world's biggest private equity firms. So very much invested in low carbon energy generation within the UK market, as well as looking at other opportunities such as data centers. So that's where we sit within that space.
Excellent. Sounds good. And obviously, it's been a time of a lot of change within the industry recently, and it's great to see different technologies coming to the fore, and different opportunities within the space. Obviously, the goal of this short series is to give careers advice, and learn about high professionals in the industry. So it'd be great if you could give me a quick rundown of your career to date, where you started off, your background, and how you got to this point, heading up Telis in the UK.
So I'm a chartered surveyor by background. So I studied a land-based degree at Reading University, and then came out. It was quite a smooth transition then into being a surveyor, and started out with a company called Attis Real, which then got bought out by BNP Paribas and became their real estate team. As part of that, we advised a lot of different clients, and I was looking predominantly at the development sector, looking at planning and the viability of projects. One of our big clients was EDF, and I was really interested in what they were doing in an energy space. So I tried to position myself as best I could to do more EDF work, and eventually ended up on a secondment within their new nuclear build team, which was probably back in 2009, so quite some time ago. It was due to be a very short-term secondment, just 3 months or so. I think that ended up being over 2 years of being on a secondment, and I eventually said, this is ridiculous. The only thing that I'm coming back to the mothership for is really to be paid. So why don't I come across to EDF and do this full time? So persuaded them that it was a good thing that I had hopefully added some value in the previous 2 years, working really in their nuclear new build team. So originating land and supporting the planning process through predominantly the power stations down at Hinkley Point in Somerset, and also Sizewell over in Suffolk as well, and working really closely with that team. It was just such a phenomenal thing to be involved in the very early days of the development consent order and large scale infrastructure projects. So really built my career around that, and ended up spending over 10 years with EDF, working on the new nuclear build, seeing from origination through the planning process, and into construction, into the first sort of 5 years or so of Hinkley's construction. And as part of that, also got exposure to other nuclear projects within EDF at both Sizewell and Suffolk, and Bradwell with the Chinese, the joint venture. And that was, again, fascinating, seeing the way a different company operated, how they approached development, some of the cultural, some of the legal, some of the other challenges that presented. Spent a bit of time also on a secondment to the tidal lagoon in Swansea Bay. There was some overlap between EDF and the lagoon, so really focusing again on supporting their planning process, land assembly, all of the complicated issues that go with these large-scale infrastructure projects. And again, another first-of-a-kind project, which presents some really exciting challenges of navigating issues that have not been discussed before. So sitting and having arguments or discussions with our legal teams, with our planning teams about how we best approach this, how we're interpreting those rules and regulations, how do we meet the program, stay within budget, all those really good, strong sort of project management fundamentals. So that was a fantastic process to go through. And again, I think after 10 years or so at EDF, I thought I can stay here for the long term, or I can make a change, do something different. I didn't feel my journey was complete yet. I wasn't quite ready to see my retirement through to the end of EDF, just because of the scale of the projects. It was, you could roll and then go through construction into operation and then into decommissioning. But I wanted to branch out and do something different. So I spoke to some of the consultants that we were using at the time, ones that I really liked and thought did a good job, and ended up moving to Dalcour Maclaren. So a specialist land consultancy advising on a range of infrastructure projects across the UK, water, power, data, etc. So I spent a couple of years with them working on the consultancy side, working really in that front-facing piece with clients. So trying to bring my client-side view into consultancy to say, well, this is the way I think we should approach things. These are the things that I've learned. Really trying to impart that knowledge to some of our big energy clients, so Ørsted's, RWE's, a lot of offshore wind with their onshore elements, and working my way through that. So did that for a couple of years. It's fantastic to see how others worked. So having spent so long at EDF, I knew one way of doing things, but actually seeing how other clients approached it, what mattered to them, how they best looked at things, what did good look like for them. That was really interesting to see. And then the opportunity here at Telis came up, and I thought it was too good to miss. It was a new, exciting startup, ability to build a new team, shape the direction that we're going in, but with big private equity backing. So it gave me that level of support and comfort that this was something that could deliver on the aspirations that they had within the energy sector. So it's been definitely not a linear path, but I'm not sure that exists anymore in anyone's career. But it's been one of those of just seeing opportunities and going for them, although sometimes a little bit more scary than others in terms of those changes and really trying to get a rounded experience of what the sector looks like.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's a really, really detailed rundown. So many thanks for that. Sounds like seeing all sides of the coin, both in terms of technologies and environment. So no, that's super interesting. And with that varied background, I'd be really interested to get your thoughts on, there's as mentioned, there's been a lot of change, well publicized change in specifically the UK renewable energy industry, over the past year with the goings on with NESO and connections reform. So what would you say is from your perspective, the biggest challenge facing the industry going forward, maybe over the next 12 to 18 months?
I think you're probably right. I think it is around, from an energy perspective, it is around those connections and certainty. Like all industries, we can be adaptive, we can make things work, but we need certainty and we need to know the parameters that we're working in. I think the challenge we have currently is NESO are trying to give that certainty, but it's coming very, very slowly. And it can be quite difficult to navigate. It's not as clear as we would like it to be. So I think as an industry, once we know exactly where we're connecting and when we're connecting and what that cost is, then that's the absolute clarity that our investors want and desire to get moving. So the job we're currently navigating is how do we keep moving through uncertainty? So I suppose, certainty for grid would be my big ask, and is our big challenge at the moment to navigate. So that I think would probably be the main issue.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's a very hot topic of conversation, both
Definitely.
at industry events and all over. But on a more positive side of things, what do you think is any exciting areas of growth or innovation, or any particular skill sets that will be in particular demand going forward? On the other side of looking ahead, what sort of positives are coming down the track?
I think there's a lot. It's a very busy space. I think from when I started in energy, it was pretty unsexy and pretty uninteresting, and that has just grown through my career. The weight of electrification across the UK and across the world is driving that demand, and that's going to come in various different forms. It comes in the forms of generation. So I think I may be slightly biased because of my background, but a nuclear I think is going to come to the fore. And that is a huge opportunity area that we're going to see more small modular reactors, advanced modular reactors coming through, as we're seeing with Rolls-Royce and the headlines that they're grabbing. I think that's going to be really interesting. Data centers on the demand side and where that goes, and linked to that, where AI goes from a UK perspective, is driving huge amounts of demand for power, for land. And that's going to dictate, to a certain extent, over the next 3 to 5 years, I think, what else goes on within an energy space, because those are so intrinsically linked, the supply and the demand from a data center perspective. So I think we're going to see that. And will there be a resurgence of hydrogen? It's had so many false dawns over the course of the last 20 years or so? Are we going to see that make a big play and eventually become a genuine power source rather than just something that's talked about around the edges?
Mm,
And again, I think that comes down to it will do if there's a clear demand for it. And at the moment, they're stuck in this. There's a desire to do supply, but there's no point supplying it if there's no demand. Who's going to be
mm,
the demand? And we're stuck in a bit of a circle on that. So there's a number of areas that I'm really excited about in the energy space that I think are going to evolve and are becoming more and more relevant as we're pushed to becoming a more electric heavy economy, getting away from fossil fuels, whether that's through cars, whether that's through domestic heating or various other areas, that electricity is going to continue to be something that we are talking about for many years to come.
no, definitely, and it's great to hear that there's positivity around different technologies. It's not just one that is going to be
Yeah, yeah.
we hang our hat on and that's it. So it's really good to hear. And then going in terms of multiple technologies and multiple backgrounds, in your rundown earlier, it seems like you've worked on lots of exciting things. So might be hard to narrow it down, but what would you say is the proudest moment in your career so far? A particular with one that stands out, maybe.
It's difficult. There's loads because I think I'm like all of us. You're focused normally on the next thing, so
Mm,
it's difficult sometimes to take stock. But I think seeing things delivered on site for me is why I love doing what I do. I
mm,
the paper is a necessity, but actually seeing things physically delivered. So seeing Hinkley coming out of the ground, seeing that development
yeah.
happening, I love to see that. But I also love the people side. I love to see people develop, see people's skills come forwards, and see them move forward in their career. People that I worked with in the early parts of my career, people who worked in my teams, seeing where they are now, reconnecting with them, and
Mm,
seeing what ultimately it's a reasonably small industry. There's lots of people, but you just see all the different places they end up and all the things that they deliver. That
yeah.
really, I think, is some of my proudest moments. Seeing as much as what I've done, as much as what they're doing as well.
No, that's yeah, really good to hear, especially as a recruitment firm, where we like to see people developing their careers as well. And I suppose that brings me on to my final question. Obviously, the whole crux of the series we're trying to run here is around careers in renewable energy. As you say, it is
Mm.
a small industry that is looking to grow as we move into the future. So, what would your sort of top piece of advice be for someone looking to get into the renewable energy sector, whether it be someone right at graduate level all the way through to someone looking to transfer their skills from another industry?
Never be afraid to ask questions. I think I've spent my
Mm,
whole career asking questions, and I used to work, or one of the construction directors now at Sizewell, Nigel Cann, very, very knowledgeable guy, but he was never afraid to sit in a room where he was the most senior person there and say, I'm really sorry. Can you just break it down to the most basic
yeah.
language? I don't understand what you're telling me. So never be afraid of sitting in a room to ask a question or ask someone to take it to a lower level, just so that everyone's on the same page. I think as we progress in our careers, it's easy to assume everybody else knows what you know and to lose people, whether it's with acronyms, whether it's with concepts, but the ability to ask questions and also to be able to break complicated things down to a basic level is just fundamental, I think, for
Mm,
me. And I suppose the other bit is just don't forget it's a people industry. Like whatever you do, people are what drive it. Relationships drive it. So
mm,
don't just email, don't just message. Pick up the phone, chat to people, meet them, see them. They
yeah.
are everybody. As I was talking to someone the other day, everyone said everyone's got two arms and two legs. We are all people. It's build those relationships, and they'll see you
Mm.
through huge projects and see you through your whole career, because you never know where people end up, where you just bump into someone that you met however many years ago. So yeah, be personable.
Excellent. No, perfect. That's it's some really solid advice for any stage of someone's career, whether it be someone coming out of university or yeah, as someone who's 20 years down the track looking to move industries. So no, that's really helpful. Thank you for your time today, Hugh. It sounds
Thank
like
you.
yeah, Telis have got some really exciting things going on, and I look forward to seeing what happens next.
Thanks very much. It's been great.
Perfect.